Line number 4, so good morning to the Liberal member of the House of Assembly for those folks in St. John's South, Tom Osborne. Good morning, Tom. You're on the air.
Good morning, Paddy. How are you?
Terrific today. Thank you. How about you?
Very good. Trying to clear through some of the confusion created by the Minister on the Humber Valley paving issue. And the issue that I wanted to talk about today was protection for the creditors and suppliers of Humber Valley paving, and the fact that the Minister, when he cancelled the contract, there were two bonds. One was a performance bond, which means that if the contractor didn't complete the work, the performance bond would kick in and allow government to ensure that the work got completed.
Right.
The other is a labour and materials bond, and that particular bond would protect people who supplied materials or supplied labour, basically suppliers to the contract. And there are several companies and individuals, that have contacted our office and that we're aware were owed money by Humber Valley Paving. And by the Minister cancelling the labour and materials bond, he's essentially left the onus upon those suppliers now, instead of government saying, when we put out a contract, there are two bonds. One of them is to protect.
But is that the purpose of that bond, though, Tom, is to protect these small retailers? Like, I know some of the bills were for fuel and whatnot. Is that really government's role to protect those small retailers in the form of the bond?
That's the reason for the bond, Paddy. For those types
of bills, like, even though we don't necessarily know if that fuel was bought to have anything to do with this contract, that's what that bond. I'm asking a question because I don't know.
Yeah, no, it has to be associated with the contract. But, if you're supplying materials or if you're supplying labor that is directly associated with the contract, then yes, the reason that government require, as part of the contract, require a labor and materials bond is to ensure that if a supplier supplies materials or supplies labor towards that contract, that those suppliers are protected. Now, there's a reason the bond is there, and if government sees fit and says that it's important enough to have that bond, then I cancel it knowing there are people that are owed money. He's left suppliers, to fend for themselves, and yesterday in the House said, well, it's no big deal, they can always put a mechanic's lien on. Well, A, you're leaving it to the suppliers to put a mechanic's lien and putting the onus back on the supplier when government have in place the protection right up front, demanded as part of the contract to protect the suppliers to a contract. And he left those suppliers to fend for themselves. B, there are timelines on mechanics liens. And whether or not some of the suppliers have gone beyond their timelines is an issue again. So, the fact here is, government saw fit to protect Humber Valley Pavement and have publicly said they wanted to protect that company because they've done good work for the... But there are suppliers to that contract who are also good companies who supply good work to the province.
How much money are we talking about, Tom? How many of the people that have contacted you, what kind of dollar amount are we looking at?
I don't know the specifics of the dollar amounts of, I don't even know if everybody has contacted us, so I wouldn't be able to speak and, wouldn't want to speak to the specifics in case we haven't heard from everybody. But I do know that there are suppliers that, have been left high and dry because, the labour and materials bond was pulled, so they haven't been given that protection. Protection that's demanded and required by government.
Yeah, I understand what the role of the bond is, and I guess I have no idea if some of the bills that have been left unpaid have anything to do with this particular contract or not, and I'm sure none of us actually know what's going on here, but that's the big problem here for the government, is that nobody actually knows what's going on. And that's where all the criticism and the cynicism surrounds this particular issue. Anything else you'd like to say about it this morning, Mr. Osborne?
Well, yes, absolutely. I think that is part of the problem, the fact that, even the minister doesn't know what's going on. The minister thought there was a bond for $9.5 million. It turns out there were two. The minister, there's a number of issues here that have been brought up in the House that the minister has, changed his story on and given different information. He has not been consistent, and I think it rolls back to the fact that the minister himself didn't know the details of these contracts, and whether or not there's a direct link to the reason he cancelled the contract is one issue, but the fact of the matter is he's acted irresponsibly, and I think that that's starting to play itself out here. There's absolutely no doubt that the minister did not fully understand or fully research this issue prior to making his decision.
Yeah, and with all due respect to all elected members, politics be damned here. This is where the Auditor General plays a key role in protection of the people of the province, and this is a glaring opportunity for him to play out his very respected role and get in there and do something about this and have a look. Because the problem is people are saying that the RCMP need to be involved, the Auditor General needs to be involved, calling for resignations, all of that white noise on the sideline, when we do indeed have an office that's charged with the responsibility of looking at these exact types of issues. And so I assume, and if the government wants to even try to save face on this one, the Auditor General will be called in to do a very special, specific report on this. Now wait till January, 60 days to complete, have a look at this contract, and then clear the air, one way or the other. No matter what the case is, wherever the chips fall, this is what's required now.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if the Auditor General can go far enough, because I'm not entirely certain that the Auditor General has the ability or the authority to call private individuals from private companies before the Auditor General. So you may need something more than that.
But still, I mean, the problem here, as far as that goes, is there's no one ever going to be able to read hearts and minds. We don't have a paper trail to follow, so no matter who gets involved, they're only going to be able to document what they can. All these verbal agreements that have gone through are worthless and meaningless, right? And that's why we have a huge problem there. But we can talk about value for money spent, precedent for return on the bonds, the protection of these small retailers and other things. The Auditor General has that kind of purview and mandate, so I don't know what the right answer is, Tom, and I don't think any of us actually do, but something's got to give here. No matter if it's for political expediency, protection of the taxpayer, whatever the case may be, something else has to happen here.
Absolutely, and I mean, you hit another nail on the head there as well. No paper trail. You look at a contract of this magnitude, especially considering the players that are involved and the connections to government with the players involved. There certainly should have been a paper trail here, not just verbal conversations about such a large contract. And considering, there's nobody who sits in this legislature who didn't know the connections of the incoming premier to the company, whether he sold his shares or whether he divested himself of that company 4 or 3 days prior to the decision being made or not. There's still a connection, and there should have been a paper trail.
It's just a very unusual, curious, ill-timed event. And if we hope to have any opportunity to understand this more clear, and once again, with all due respect to the 48 members, it requires the Auditor General. I mean, we can play politics with this. I'm not saying you're simply doing that, because I think you're playing a critical role here as an opposition member and bringing up and highlighting these problems. But beyond the politics and beyond the optics, we've got to get down to the brass tacks of what's going on. I mean, it's as simple as that for me. And hopefully that's what occurs in the days to come. For me, if I was giving advice to the PC party, I'd say, get in front of the microphone, tell us the Auditor General has been commissioned to come in, have a look at this specifically, and then we'll find out. But until then, Tom, as always, appreciate your time this morning.
All right. Thank you very much, Freddy.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Tom Osborne, Liberal member of the House for St. John's South.